Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Duffley with the Alumni Office, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this webinar featuring one of our alumni, Shauna Cole, and an HR specialist in the St. John area called Career Clarity. We certainly welcome many of our 2020 grads. I know there's many of you on here that are graduating this year, and congratulations. And certainly some recent grads as well. And we hope that this webinar will help to provide some support and clarity as you sort of process the current situation and decide what your plans are going forward. This is one in a series of webinars. One will be on next week, and Shauna will give you some more details as we end this session. Just a couple of housekeeping. If you have a question, because all of you are muted and your video is off, you can use the Q&A down below your screen and ask a question, and we'll get to the questions at the end. And if you have anything that you want to contact me about, you can use the chat button below as well. So just to let you know that this is being recorded, and we will send you the link after the session as well. So the questions and the chats will be all recorded. So I'll just introduce to you Shauna Cole, who is going to proceed with the session. It'll be about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions beyond. So, okay, Shauna.
Hey everyone. So welcome to today's session on career clarity. First of all, want to give you a kudos for showing up and understanding how important it is to really invest in your career and understanding what it is you want to do with your career. I am going to run you through a presentation today where we're going to talk about the 5 key steps that you need to work through to achieve career clarity. This is me. I'm a career coach. I'm a university instructor at UNB, and I'm obsessed with digital. I feel like digital technologies like LinkedIn, like creating our own websites, all kinds of different things can really set us apart as job seekers and can really help to enable us to figure out what it is we want to do with our careers. Today, we're going to talk about what the heck is career clarity anyways, and why do I think it's so important? We're going to go through those 5 key steps that I mentioned to help you achieve career clarity. And then we're going to finish up with some quick tips. We're going to take a look at job searching in a tough market that you probably can agree it is right now. And we'll also go through some quick tips on how to excel on video, because there's so much movement to online right now. So you want to look good on video, right? So what is clarity anyways, and why is this concept so important? Because it is. This whole idea of career clarity is really foundational to your future career success. This is all about seeing what you truly want from the inside out, not from the outside in, not from the job board telling you what you want, not from what's available telling you what you want, but you actually knowing and having a clear picture of what it is you want and what's going to fulfill you in your career before you ever go out and start looking for your dream job. Clarity is important because once we have career clarity, that is, we know what the heck we want and what we're going to be happy doing, then we can work towards building a vision, setting real goals, and seeing real results. Okay, I want to tell you about a client I had. Her name was Haley, and the call with Haley went something like this. She's like, Shauna, I am so stressed. I am graduating from school. I've done everything that I should have done throughout university. I got good grades. I was on the dean's list. I was involved in extracurricular activities. I had good relationships with my professors. I'm working part-time at a call center right now, and I can't make the leap to a full-time job that I actually feel like I'm going to be happy in. Haley was so overwhelmed and stressed, and she didn't know where to start. And I could hear the anxiety in her voice of like, oh my gosh, like, what do I even do? Just tell me what to do. Tell me what that next step should be. because she was at a loss. She had done everything she was supposed to do throughout her academic journey. Now, when I asked Haley, I was like, what do you think you need help with? What do you think you need from me? She said to me, well, I really think it's my resume. I really, really think I need to work on firming up my resume and writing a better cover letter. She had sent that resume out like, I think it was about 200 times. So she was applying to everything and anything that she felt was aligned to her path. This was a problem. This was all a problem for her. So to me, the first thing I'm hearing when I'm like, send out 200 resumes and you still think the resume is the problem, I don't think it is. I think that what happened to Haley, and what I think happens to a lot of us, is we skip the foundational step of clarity. You see it there, clarity, before we go out and start to look for that job. You want it now, right? Because you're like, oh, I bet Haley's going to end up successful at the end of the story. Spoiler alert. Here are the 5 steps that we worked through to help her achieve career clarity. This is really about knowing yourself. You're going to have to self-reflect a little bit here. There is no Google answer to what you should do. There is no online quiz that's absolutely, I'm so sorry to say that. I'm so sorry. I wish there was an online quiz to give you this answer, but there just isn't. This is a complicated journey that you need to work through. But the steps are going to make it a little bit simpler for you. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, and there is no quick fix. There is no quiz that's going to tell you the answer to this. No way. The first thing, this is the first step you're going to take to achieve career clarity. Career clarity, again, is going to lay the foundation for what you can and should be doing to get career fulfillment, land that job, that business, whatever the heck it is, whatever that dream thing is for you, starts with step 1. And that is asking yourself, like, what do you love? What do you love to do? Okay, so let me be real. This is a job discussion, right? And if you're like, I love to cuddle puppies, which is great, like, because who doesn't love to cuddle puppies? There's an element of practicality that's going to come in here as well, right? And we're going to get to that later. But step 1 is just, what is it? What is that thing that lights you up, that gets you fired up, that gets you excited, that you could just lose yourself in doing? And in step 1 of the career clarity process, it's really about like letting your mind wander and start to give yourself permission to dream. It's not can, should, would, like none of this. It's this question: what do you love? And that's the answer to step 1 of career clarity. What makes you great? The second step towards finding career clarity is to ask yourself, what makes you great? My best friend all through high school, even probably before high school, Becky was so good at doing hair. She always did everyone's hair. She was just super talented and super interested in it. And all the girls would ask her, like, before you would go out, it was, Becky, can you do my hair? And everyone wanted Becky to do that. People sought her out because she was great at it. Now, after high school, Becky went to university and discovered that wasn't a fit for her. And then she went to college and discovered that wasn't a fit for her. She went on this whole kind of really non-linear path, doing things that she thought, I should be doing. And it really landed her nowhere. She would end up in these jobs that she hated, that she didn't want to do over the long term. And after finding time after time, nothing was satisfying her, but she's still doing everyone's hair. She thought, maybe I could make a living doing, she went to hair school. She ended up being a very successful hairstylist, running a business and so on. And that was because she followed what makes her great. There's lots of other things that make her great, but this is something she could be paid for too. So how do you uncover what makes you great? Start with this. It is very, very simple. Pay attention. There are clues in your life. There are clues coming at you. What are people asking you for help with? What are you just sort of innately the expert at? There is something that people come to you for. That is giving you a clue towards what you should be doing in your career. Okay, I talked about puppies, and we all like to cuddle puppies, and that's fun and wonderful. But I don't know how we're going to make money at that. Maybe you can figure it out. There probably is a way. There always is a way. But the third step that you need to follow to achieve this career clarity is to figure out what you can actually make money doing, right? So another example, we've gone through steps, 1 and 2. What if you've uncovered you've got a really great talent for Instagram? You are the influencer of the future. You are a travel blogger. You're the next advice from a 20-something or whatever the popular blogs are. You're that next big thing. Now, how are you going to make money doing that? So there's a research component involved in here as well. What if you've got an Instagram account that's got a great following, healthy following, and you're sharing information on your marketing expertise because that's what you're studying in school? How can you turn that into a paying account? I want to encourage you when it comes to what can you make money doing. I want to encourage you to think of non-traditional ways to make money too. Okay, so we're all, go to school, get a job, go work 9 to 5, get a paycheck. But what if there were other ways to earn money? What if there were business opportunities? What if there's a business to be set up? What if something in the earlier steps has told you that you'd make a really great influencer or blogger or writer or whatever the case is? What are other avenues you could explore to make money of it? I can think of tons of ways online, using social media, websites where you can do consulting gigs as an example, and farm out your skills as a consultant if you've got an expertise in a certain area. It's not all about the 9 to 5. There are other ways and other opportunities out there for you to explore to make money. What if right now you started to explore those other ways? I think what you'll find once you start to research is there's this whole other world out there for you to explore, and this whole other way to earn real cash money without going to a 9 to 5. Now, a 9 to 5, again, is great, and I'm not knocking the 9 to 5 gig. But what I do want to be real about is the market has shifted right now. There's been, I think, about 2 million jobs lost. So there's a lot of change in market conditions. The people who are going to succeed, the people who are going to be the most successful, are the ones that are able to figure out what are the opportunities in that, and how can I creatively navigate this whole new playing field. Okay, so this is where it all comes together. So we've said, hey, this is what I love to do. This is what makes me great. And guess what? This is what I can actually get paid for. We bring that all together and create your career vision. So what you should take away from the exercise of trying to figure out what you love, what makes you great, and what you get paid for, you should be able to find some common things. And from that, you're going to be able to go out and do that research that tells you where you can earn money doing those common things. And from there, you're in a position to actually write down, this is like what I want to be when I grow up, right? This is what I want to be when I grow up. And that is your career vision. Now, your career vision can be one thing today, and it might change. It will likely change over time and needs to be reset over time. You might even go through this entire exercise to find 2 years from now, something ain't working anymore. And that's fine too. You go back and you reset. The important thing to know is you're not going to be Haley, who's like, oh my gosh, I need a job. I'm going to send out 200 resumes to try to get this job. You are not Haley doing that, because you're going to have a vision. You're going to know what jobs or opportunities or businesses to target in your search, because you've got the foundation. With the absence of the foundation, you're kind of grasping at straws, and it's really, really hard to have an effective job search, effective follow-up, and to really do the whole process with any sort of depth, because it's so big and has no clear goal. So at this point, what Haley uncovered about herself was she was actually very passionate about academia. She loved her studies, which is probably why she did so well, which is probably why she actually had such great relationships with her professors, and why she was involved in it. It connected with her and she loved it. So take a step back, Haley, and say, like, what could you maybe do to continue in academia, because you're finding that fulfilling? So what she uncovered was, you know what? I think I'm actually going to pursue a PhD. So I don't know what your outcome is going to be. Maybe it's going to be, I want to continue in school. Maybe it's, I need to go to the specialized grad school. I don't know. I don't know what those answers are for you, but that's up for you to uncover in this process. You need to let your mind go. You need to not be confined by any of the barriers of you could and you should and you would. And just let your imagination go and start to build that vision from the foundation of who you are and what you're just plain good at, and build out your career that's a career that's aligned with who you are as a person, rather than could and should and all those things. And the final phase of career clarity, step 5, is all about taking action. Okay, so it's one thing to have this really killer career vision, right? Which you will have. You're gonna have a beautiful career vision. You're gonna know what's up. You're gonna know what you want to achieve. But you got to do something about it. So this is all about setting those clear goals and taking action steps in order to achieve those goals. So my client, Haley, obviously for her, it was, okay, now we need to work through a process of applying to graduate school, figuring out what that project is going to look like for her and what she wants to actually study in her PhD. So what does that look like for you? Maybe you do uncover that, you know what, my dream job is a 9-to-5 corporate gig, and you can even nail it down to say it's in a private company, and you know what job title you're looking for and all these things. That's awesome. Now that you've got that detail, you can actually go after that detail and craft a plan in order to be successful. Okay. So what I don't want you to do, which I think is what we're doing right now and have always done when it comes to job search, what I don't want you to do is ignore this step. Before we go and apply for jobs and start searching for those jobs, we need to have clarity on what it is that we're actually seeking out. Guys, I really feel like if you're skipping right to the job board and looking outward for the answer and like, this is the key to my future fulfillment, you're going to be, the success is going to be short-lived. It's basically like, hey, I'm going to run some Facebook ads, but you don't really know what you're selling or what you want to achieve from those ads. In the absence of working through the process of career clarity, you are selling yourself short of having a more successful career holistically, and also having a more successful job search in the short term. So I hope that you will follow these steps, because I can see what happens when people are really, really focused on what it is they want to achieve rather than being reactive to what's available out in the world. So can you imagine going through this process? Okay, you've uncovered, my ultimate dream. I'm going to be a career coach. So how am I going to make that happen? I'm going to do some research. For me, it was all about, let's figure out how to set up a business, how to find some clients, and how to build the marketing funnel. There are opportunities to go seek out funding. There are people in our community who will meet with you and talk to you about working in certain fields. There are tons of avenues that you can explore, but they're only available to you if you know what it is this vision is, because otherwise you don't know who to go to or where to start with that whole process. So Haley's doing great, by the way. She is well underway to completing her PhD studies. She moved away. That was another finding that she had in the process. So she moved to the UK, continues those studies, and is a very far cry from what her initial career path was, which she thought she was going to work a 9-to-5 corporate HR gig, and uncovered that, you know what, that really isn't my jam. So career clarity, I hope you can see, is more than a tool for job searching. This is not taking you to the website to what are all the different search terms you can enter in and what's the list of available opportunities in a market area. It is not about that. Career clarity is a tool for you to get clear on what it is you want for yourself in the absence of all those outside influences. So sure, the outside world is a great way to get ideas and to get inspired and to know other opportunities that are and will and could be available in the future. So absolutely, can be an input to your research. But where I want you to start is to say, what am I actually just kind of intuitively good at? And what do people seek me out for? And I want to ask yourself questions like, what makes me happy? What am I doing that I could just lose track of time because I like doing it so very much? So right now, there are realities for the job search. The current market realities do not trump the need for career clarity. In my opinion, the current market realities make the need to have your solid foundation in place even stronger. Only once you have that solid foundation in place are you in a position to actually go target the companies, the people, the opportunities that you want to have in your life. And the absence of knowing what you want, it's just too big. It's too much. I don't know how you even begin to screen those things out. So you've got to have the career clarity first and foremost. Now, reality check. Market conditions are weird. Things are weird. There needs to be a shift in expectations right now. And I mean, typical recruitment processes, even on a good day, probably are a lot lengthier than we would typically like. But right now, there needs to be an expectation reset. And it's basically like whatever you know about the traditional recruitment practices and as far as timelines and what you expect for responses and everything, throw them away. And I feel like that might leave a little bit of your sanity. Employers are right now working through lots of corporate challenges, trying to manage being offline, disconnected teams or connecting in new ways, maybe, right? Because they're not super comfortable with technology. All these things, all of these details on what's happening in the world will impact your experience as a candidate. That's the reality. And it's a harsh reality because the candidate experience a lot of the times is a difficult, maybe not so transparent one to begin with. And now it's basically be prepared to wait longer. But what if there are opportunities in this? What if there are opportunities because the recruitment process is so different and slowed down or whatever? What if you could use the fact that everyone's moved online to your advantage through things like actually looking up the recruiter or the hiring manager on LinkedIn and sending them a message, and then all of a sudden you're going to stand out as a candidate? What if you could use this opportunity to build your marketing toolkit in a really, really intentional and meaningful way because you've gone through the career clarity exercise? Maybe you're not getting as many interviews as you would like. What if I said, take a step back and focus on this piece, which is yourself and what you can control in your situation, and build a marketing toolkit that really reflects your ideal career. So instead of blanket 200 resumes to the job sites, instead of doing that, what if you could really tailor your message to the positions that you want to target? And then what if, because you've reset your expectations for timelines, but what if you could poke at that a little bit and really get great at LinkedIn and start sending messages to hiring managers, meaningful, professional messages that bolster your credibility as a candidate? And get creative. Right now is a great time to get creative. So I talked about that a little bit earlier, and thinking about what are non-traditional opportunities to earn money. I worked with a client named Lisa. She worked in a marketing coordinator role for a lot of years, and then she had some changes in her personal situation. The hours weren't for her. So we worked through the process with her, and she uncovered that a great gig for her was virtual assisting. So she's now essentially a marketing coordinator virtually. What if there are opportunities like that for you too? When it comes to the interview on video, I'm checking my time, guys. Okay. When it comes to interviewing on video, like, maybe wear pants. I know it's like, now you're like, is she wearing pants right now? I am. But when it comes to interviewing on video, I would really encourage you, particularly if you're not a seasoned interviewee, if you're not a seasoned interviewee, really, really practice, and be rigid about getting ready for it. Treat it like a real meeting by doing things like wearing pants, being aware of your posture and body language. Ditch the distractions the best that you can, and do your setup well in advance of the video meeting. So this advice is applicable both for, if you're going through an interview process, but also if you're doing any sort of online meetings as well. And go the extra mile. So we've worn pants, we've ditched the distractions, so we look amazing on screen. Follow up in an intentional way to go the extra mile to really impress the folks that you're meeting with or interviewing with. Career clarity. Career clarity is the foundation to your future success as a job seeker, as a business owner, whatever the heck it is for you. Career clarity is the foundation. Only once we have that career clarity can we begin to set a clear vision, goals, and then we can achieve the results. So I encourage you, don't jump right to the job board. That is not the answer, and that's not the advice I would give. Before you ever jump on that job board, make sure that you have a solid foundation in place. Now, we've gone through the 5 steps to achieve career clarity today. I'm going to send participants today a follow-up workbook where you can actually write down this process step by step, so you can fill in the blank and start to chart out a clear plan for yourself. So thank you very much. I am going to go over to Mary now. I think she was going to check out and see if we have any questions.
Thanks, Shauna. There's no questions from the participants, but I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm just thinking about your marketing toolkit, which I think is a really good idea. Is there things besides a resume and a cover letter that you should be part of that toolkit?
Yeah, and I think that there's so much opportunity to stand out with how we market ourselves right now. I would encourage students to think creatively about this. So I feel like one thing that we often aren't doing as job seekers is leveraging the power of LinkedIn and reaching out to people. So I would say another key element of our marketing toolkit is going to be that LinkedIn profile itself. That LinkedIn profile can basically work for you as a job seeker or someone who's seeking out business opportunities, both really passively, because it's just sitting there and hopefully you're getting some inbound attention. And it can also work for you actively as well. Once you get familiar with the platform, you can actually search people out, ping them with meaningful, intentional messages, and try to get in front of them that way. A nice complement to the LinkedIn profile is creating a one-pager. So we all know infographics are like the jam right now. Everyone's all about infographics. What if you as a job seeker could create an infographic that really nicely in one nice PDF page visually represented your experience? And what if when you were targeting employers on LinkedIn, you could attach this infographic instead of sending a lengthy resume and cover letter?
It's a good tip. I noticed the last couple of days, certainly at St. John, they're doing some online job fairs, which I think is probably going to be a bit of the norm going forward. So I don't know if some of the students online here have participated in those, but what are some suggestions of how they can stand out on those job fairs that are all virtual? So how do you stand out?
I think a couple of key things. One being, because in this whole virtual world, a lot of what we're saying about ourselves is not necessarily like a face-to-face interaction, but rather people are meeting us via profiles and documents before they ever have an experience with us. So as job seekers, if you're participating in these virtual job fairs, I think preparedness is key, and I think you need to go further than a resume and cover letter. But start with this: have a resume and a cover letter that match, that make you look like a brand. So think of yourself as a brand. A resume and cover letter that match, that are consistent, that have consistent look and feel, comes across as a polished portfolio package, more so than two Word docs that are completely disconnected and seemingly don't mesh well together. So that would be my first one, because your documents are very often speaking for you before you have an interaction with an employer. I think follow-up is going to be key. Actually, before I go to follow-up, I'm going to back up and say the video. So we talked a little bit about the video interview. Again, it comes down to preparedness, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of your appearance, being aware of your body language, and going into that online job fair and assuming that you're going to get some interviews with folks, because that could very well happen. And then that third piece of advice I would have for people going into the job fairs would be the power of the follow-up. It's something like 95% of candidates do not follow up after an interview. So imagine you're that 5%. That's pretty impactful and pretty memorable to the employer. But not only that, there are really intentional ways you can follow up with an employer to stand out. If you were to write an email to an employer, if I were to send a follow-up, I would be sure to kind of reiterate what we talked about in the meeting. If I detected any sort of concerns about my background or experience, I would perhaps address them in the email, and then I would reiterate in that email next steps or the need to define next steps.
Excellent. I think about this current situation, and obviously the challenges that these students, graduates are facing is daunting, to say the least.
Yeah.
So they go through the exercise, they've created this sort of clarity, they know what they want, they know the jobs that they're looking for, the area that they want to work. Is it important now, if those opportunities are not available at the present time, is it important for them maybe to, and we use this word in our industry, pivot? And so is it more important for them to fill the time by doing short-term jobs, maybe not necessarily something that they've thought that they would ever do, it matches a skill set that they have, but is it more important for them to not wait and do something, maybe a non-traditional job, just to have something on their resume so that there's not a lot of empty space on a resume?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question for graduates in particular. I think the really good news story for UNB grads and anyone who's studying in like business or arts degrees and engineering, like you are looking for roles that are professional roles, and that's really where you see the bulk of the opportunities in these non-traditional type positions, where you can go online and kind of find a part-time gig or whatever. Someone looking for some help for a period of time that's not necessarily a full-time job. So I would say absolutely, and I would caution students to look for opportunities like this and think about in that opportunity. So maybe this is not my perfect job. This is not my perfect job that I want in the future. But I would say reframe that for yourself in your mind. What are you getting from this job that's going to serve you in your next job? I think of this, I worked in customer service when I part-time for a lot of years. And at the time I thought like, ugh, not my dream job, not what I want to do. And I can tell you very honestly that I have drawn on that customer service experience so many times throughout my career as an HR specialist, as a career coach, as a university instructor. I had so much value from that experience that I didn't recognize at the time, that I wish I had had that lens at that point in time. So students, if you're not walking into your dream job tomorrow, that's okay. What are you getting from that opportunity tomorrow that's going to serve you in the position that you get 6, 12, 2 years, 12 months, 2 years from now? There's going to be a takeaway. There's going to be something you can bring with you.
One of the participants asked you to speak about the hidden job market. We hear about that all the time. So what's the hidden job market?
So the hidden job market, the stats are pretty overwhelming. It's something like 80% of positions never end up like formally posted on a job board. That's a great question, and there are a lot of different ways that we can access the hidden job market. One of my absolute favorite ways to start to access that is through LinkedIn. I think a lot of us don't recognize how powerful this network is. One way, imagine this scenario. I'm gonna make this up. I want to be an HR manager at Apple Computers. I'm making this up, right? I can go on LinkedIn and look for the influencers for that position. So if we think about this logically, if I want to be an HR manager, there's probably going to be a chief HR officer or whatever that I can realistically look up on LinkedIn. What if I thought about building my network proactively behind the scenes using LinkedIn to reach out to people in that way? You can literally find people in any company in the world and reach out to them. And if done effectively, you can start to access some of those hidden jobs. The hidden job market is in essence always going to be within your network. And that's why networking and having a network and staying connected with that network is so very, very important.
And that it translates well to what our future 2 sessions, the 2 next webinars, are going to be about a little bit about LinkedIn. So Shauna, if you want to talk a little bit about those before we conclude.
Sure thing. So next week, Wednesday the 20th, we're going to be here as well at noon again. And at that time, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of LinkedIn, because you're like, oh, Shauna, that sounds awesome, but I'm not reaching out to the executive team at Apple right now on the basis of my current LinkedIn profile, right? You're like, not a chance. So I'm going to actually walk you through how you can create a LinkedIn profile that's going to serve you as a job seeker, or if you're going to pursue other opportunities. I'm going to reveal to you the importance of search terms on LinkedIn, and you're going to immediately start showing up in more search appearances. You're going to get more profile views, and all of these things ultimately translate into visibility, which translates into credibility if you're doing it right, and opportunities to connect more with recruiters from organizations that are looking for talent like you have.
Awesome. Thanks to Shauna for joining us today. And we certainly, as members of the Associated Alumni of UNB, are certainly very, hopefully we want to support the graduates, we want to support our young alumni. So we appreciate Shauna doing this, and we're hoping that students here today will join us next week and share this information to other graduates and encourage them to participate. And we wish you the best of luck. And thank you, Shauna, again. Shauna will reach out to you, the folks that were on the webinar today, to provide this some additional information. And have a great day.
Awesome.
Thanks, Shauna.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.